everybody. What's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking on your Monday? Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a good Super Bowl. Of course, like, share, subscribe. Is there something going on with my mic today, or is it just me? That might just be me. Hold on. Let me just see if yeah, now we're okay. I think we're okay. Anyway, hope you had a good one. Like to say hi to everybody in the chat. Terry's here, Diana's here, and Diana and Terry and Julian and Delco Chris. Delco Chris made a extremely generous contribution to the show. You could do the same thing. PayPal.me/Tom Gully Show, Patreon.com/The Tom Gully Show. A lot of you apparently have been purchasing merchandise. Cafe Press has a thing. You don't get like paid for every sale. It has to build up. And I got a payment for that. So for all of you who have been purchasing things like this very happy girl that's wearing a shirt made for ladies. For ladies. Hello, lady. For a lady. Appreciate all of that. More than anything, though, Delco Chris had some very, very reassuring words of encouragement for me, and that really meant the world. So that was, I damn near cried. It was very much appreciated. Diane O'Brien's got some glasses. The Reverend Wild Bill is here. Hey, incidentally, tonight, the Shawnee Zone will be on again. I think that's on at 9 o'clock Eastern time. I could be wrong about that, but it is on the Shuli Network. And that's that conspiracy show. Sunday Jenna's here. So, hey, Tom Gully. Hey, Sunday Jenna. And so anyway, Shuli Network, 9 o'clock tonight, I believe, the Shawnee Zone. Hey, I was thinking, you guys know how I am about conspiracy theories, but what about this? Here's a conspiracy theory. What if the Shawnee Zone is a conspiracy? Huh? Deal with that for a while. That'll blow your mind. Lyndon is here. How you doing, brother? Oh, my God. Royalty is here. The king of all dabblers. The frog, producer Joe. And let me tell you, and I'm going to say it again because I was thinking about it this weekend as I was doing the news wheel from 7:30 to 10 Eastern time. 6:30 to 9 here in my time zone on the big fancy radio station that none of you have probably listened to, but if you did, you would get to see just how incredible I am as a news anchor on the radio. You know what? I may have to bring in some recordings at some point. Anyway, the frog is one of the most talented people you're ever going to run into. I mean, that dude is worth his weight in gold. Terrible that he's not getting paid at all. I'm kidding. Who's this Turb McGurk or whatever his name is? It's got this, we have done extensive studies and blah, 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 blah. Hey, okay, write an article. Show me proof. I'm a news anchor, brother. You're in my world now. I can't say it because I don't curse and things, but you're in my world now, female dog. You just can't make a bunch of claims, and amongst those claims that you have proof and statistics and you've talked to people and blah, 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 but you don't have any of it to show. That's like 60 Minutes would be retitled 3 Minutes as a show if they got on and say, today we look at the controversy surrounding presidential candidate Donald Trump. We talk, and that's all you say. That's it. You got no interviews. I mean, you don't even have masked out people with voice altered blah, 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 blah. Well, the first time I met. No, you don't even have that. Anyway. Point being, the frog right there, that guy, that is one talented grown-ass man right there. Terry Nee said, I need to bring my clock on travels. Where's the best place to post photos of the clock? Probably on the Tom Gully Show Facebook page, which if you haven't joined it, you can. That'd be the best place, probably. I could get it there. Delco Chris says, mind blown. Mind efficient. What if the Shawnee Zone is a conspiracy? I'm just saying. What if Shawnee is actually an alien, a robot, a specter, an apparition? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that he is. Because, like all good conspiracies, I'm just throwing it out there. The biggest conspiracy they could talk about tonight would be the Turb McGurk, or whatever his name is, report. Lyndon is here with some frog support. Randy J. Ramos, the chef, is in the house. The guy's a real chef. We haven't seen our yacht builder guy. We got a very high class audience here. Boy, did a lot happen in the Dabbleverse. I know I'm not hardcore Dabbleverse. I know I'm what I like to call Dabbleverse adjacent. But man, I, as you guys know, have to work long, taxing hours on the air on the weekend. 8 hours a day, starting early, like 3 in the morning to noon or 1 in the afternoon. And so I try to get to bed really early. I couldn't. I was watching videos pop up and people making declarations, and Stuttering John wanted Vince to have a gal sent over, and Vince called and Dawn's phone rang. I thought that was suspicious. It's Christina Costello, part of the Costello crew here. How you doing, Christina? Wormhole getting deep, Tom. It is. It's a very deep wormhole. But man, did a lot of stuff happen. Fishman is here. He says, oh my God, it's the real Tom Gully live on YouTube. Yeah, so, well, if there's 2 of us, I feel sorry for the other guy. I really do. I deeply, deeply do. I hope you all watch the Super Bowl. It's kind of nice to watch it when there's nobody. I mean, I didn't care who won. I didn't. Absolutely didn't care. So it was fine. Christopher Walken commercial was good. And the Ben Affleck Dunkin' Donuts commercial was good. The commercial with the 2 guys from Scrubs and Jason Momoa, I didn't really care for the commercial, but the ending of that commercial rocked, because they were doing a Flashdance thing, and to have Jennifer Beals on at the end was from Flashdance was cool. And then when she said, if you could take your shirt back off, and then the other 2, you 2 are okay. I laughed. Pegleg Biker says, usually Super Bowl weekend is boring, but great game and hilarity in OC. Yeah, it was good. Julian Caesar said, Dabbleverse weekend. Immovable doofus met an unflushable force. Well, I will say this. Not a huge fan of Usher. Well, the music wasn't terrible. The girl, I guess it's Her, whatever, that played the guitar, that was the most average guitar solo I have ever heard. She came out there and it was just like, why are you featuring this? That's not that great. Delco Chris, of course, Zach had to have the shirt off the shoulder move. I did like the Almost Champions Eminem commercial, and I did like the commercial for auditions when they have all those people auditioning for a role. That I thought was pretty good too. But anyway, I used to do a review of all the commercials. If you go to the TomGullyShow.com, I think 4 or 5 years in a row I reviewed all the commercials, because I used to be a big-time advertising writer. And I, yes, have written commercials for the Super Bowl before. So, I used to get quoted in the paper, the trades, about them every year after. What in the... This hair, something has got to happen with this hair. Oh, and by today I'm wearing players exchange jerseys. Now, in professional indoor soccer, you were encouraged not to do that because the money's not that great and they don't have a ton of extra jerseys. However, this is one I did exchange with a friend from the Houston Hot Shots, another goalkeeper by the name of Terry Waldorf, great guy. Terry Nee says, terrible halftime, just like everything else in this country is becoming, grumpy old man says. I don't know, man. A couple of years ago, Lady Gaga lit it up. and Maroon 5 lit it up. It's just a matter of, do you like that artist? And like I said, the music wasn't terrible. It's not my cup of tea. And probably because I'm just not that familiar with his body of work. I'm sure if I listened to a lot of it, I would like it eventually. But I did like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And turn up the what? I like that thing. Pegleg Biker says, we are also getting a lot of anti-Tesla ads, or was that a local DC thing? They were brutal. I don't recall a lot of Tesla things. I did see Mark Wahlberg with his... I like Mark Wahlberg in movies, but that dude almost beat a guy to death one time. A couple of years ago, he tried to get that felony taken away, and the court went, no, you can hang on to that. You can go ahead and hang on to that. That'll be fine. No, that's okay. And I kind of, to a certain extent, I think the guy has been a good enough citizen for enough years. It's almost like, instead of going to the court and saying, hey, I want out of this, it would have been, I would be more on his side if he went to the court and said, hey, what do I need to do to get out of this? You tell me and I'll do that. But Reverend Wild Bill says, who won the Super Bowl? This is the first time I've heard anything about it. Tom knows I don't do sports. Well, American sports. Well, here's the thing, Wild Bill. The Chiefs won, it was it 25-22 or something like that in overtime. It was a very exciting game, very good game. But earlier in the day, Arsenal had run riot on West Ham 6-0. So that was my day right there. In addition, and let's not have this get back to the Shuley Network, but the previous weekend, and I am such a good guy. Shuley is a fan of Liverpool, who's top of the table right now. But Arsenal beat Liverpool 3-1. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And I didn't rub it in. I didn't go into the chat and, super chat a thing, nothing. I wanted to, but I didn't. Arsenal won. Great. Yes. Always come on, you Gunners. Dino Bryan says, good actor, but seen him on British chat shows and he seems off his trolley. Well, he might be a little off his trolley. I don't know. What's that talk show in England that I love so much? I watch clips from it all the time. Graham Norton. I think it's Graham Norton. God, is that a good show? That's a really good show. Reverend said, so Arsenal did finally wake up. Yeah, after we lost 3 in a row. Delco Chris says, the advertising and viewing demo is shifting from aged 50 down to 40, so the halftime shows are shifting too. A little. I look, if the Rolling Stones said we want to do the Super Bowl, they'd get it. If there's still some shows out there for us. I like Katy Perry. I like a lot of younger artists. Halsey, I like. There's a lot of them I like. So, I've just never been a big Usher fan. I'd like to see Drake, frankly. Telly Savalas says, I've never been off my trolley. Telly, who loves you, baby. I'd like to see, I was just thinking of him. Doggone it. Eminem. Love to see Eminem do it. The Graham Norton Show is a great show. Watch it all the time, says Randy Ramos. Reverend Wild, U2 at the Super Bowl, and I might watch. See, U2 could get that work. There's still some big bands that could get that work. There really are. Oh, hey, to the more than 19 people in the room right now, thanks for being here. PayPal.me/Tom Gully Show. CafePress.com/The Tom Gully Show. Like, subscribe, and share. Please, 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 please. That would be great. I would love that. Hey, Kahuna's here. Nice to see you, Kahuna, says, hey, gang. Lyndon says, the old heads came off poor in AC this weekend. Well, not all of them, but yeah, kind of. am going to attend one of those things one of these days. Not that anybody will care. And I think the thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the fans were about as chill as you can be, you know. And by the way, Melton, who's no spring chicken, he seemed pretty calm to me. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Melton, but he seemed to be pretty chill about the whole thing. Stuttering John, though, jeez, losing his mind. Stacy Allen says, "Do you want to see Drake because you've always seen his?" No, I didn't know that was on Twitter. Thank you for the bet. Here, gotta wash my mouth out with some Mountain Dew Zero. I can't tell you how good I was on the air Sunday morning. I was loose. I was having a good time. I was doing the news. I was reporting stories for the next day part and for Monday morning for the, it was great. I had a good time. I really did. But still very tired. Stephanie Lindley says, "Hey, Stone Green Tom Gully and Chat Gators. You know, if you guys remember when Techhead Terry came in here last week, that clip actually was on his show that he released today. It just did my heart good to have Techhead Terry back on the program. It really did. And happy he's going to be a father soon. I was very happy. I think he'll be a great dad. But I will again say, you really owe it to yourself to watch an episode of his show. He prank calls people all over it. And he gets the busy, man, he was doing Rudy Giuliani for the longest time and a lot of them. So, Delco Chris, I would have been an against the wall observer in AC. Seemed some tense moments there. They really did. There was a lot of tension. There was a lot of tension going on there. But I'd like to go to if I go to one, it's going to be a formal one. You know, it's going to be a thing where they're doing podcasts from there and there's a table in the front and it's a show. And I don't think I would have gone to something like that. Now, I would go to something like that if it was in my town. You know, if it was here in Dallas, oh, you bet I would. You bet your bottom dollar I would. Let's see here. Boom. Red Mobile says, if you enjoy the show, please hit that like, smash that share, and on the preferred channel, YouTube, smash the subscribe and click the bell for notification. And then he adds, so that others may be tortured. That's really the case. It really is the case. That's so that other people can be tortured. Now behind me, well, let's just do the thing. Diane O'Brien. I'm going to have you ladies talk amongst yourselves in the chat. I am not going to explain what that means. Oh, dear. I'm not explaining what that means. I'm not going to explain it. But this is our ritual. We got a hell of a show planned for you here. We got let me tell you about the first Super Bowl and some things about it that might surprise you a little bit. This first Super Bowl was not officially called the Super Bowl. Now, there's a long story about how the name Super Bowl came into being. I believe it might have been Lamar Hunt's child. When I was a kid, and some of you olds like me might remember this, there was a toy called a Super Ball. And it was just a rubber, indestructible ball that you could bounce. It would bounce super high. It was just hard, sort of hard, resilient rubber. And that guy heard the name Super Ball and thought Super Bowl. Okay. Now, when the first game happened, there was not just the NFL. No, there were two leagues. There was the NFL, and then there was the rival AFL. We know those today as the AFC and the NFC. And teams have switched back and forth and been added. But at the time, they were two totally separate rival leagues. And from the time the AFL started, they started paying big money and stealing the best players away from the NFL, both in the draft and from the teams. And it was very quickly becoming a subject of great debate. Which league is better? The NFL was old school, and most people thought the NFL was far superior. However, the AFL was way more exciting and high scoring and lots of passing. And the NFL was old school, grinded out on the ground running. So the first Super Bowl was actually called and this is the full title. It was called the first AFL NFL World Championship game. And later on, it was called the Super Bowl. They refer to it now as the first Super Bowl, but that was the original name. Now, during the game's radio broadcast, okay, it was called the Super Bowl. They called it that during the radio broadcast, not during the TV broadcasts. And I'll get to that in a second. It was played on January 15th, 1967, at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in, obviously, LA. Now, there was a lot of animosity between these two leagues. They both wanted to prove they were better, but most sports writers and most fans believe the older NFL was vastly superior to the AFL. And so Green Bay was a huge, huge favorite. But the first half of this game was very competitive, okay? Green Bay was only ahead 14-10. However, Green Bay scored 21 unanswered points and won the game 35-10. And that's most of the sports we're going to talk. The rest of the stuff is, just things you won't believe, things that you probably didn't know. The site of this game, which was played on January 15th, was not determined until December the 1st, okay? And the date wasn't determined until December the 13th, barely a month before the actual game, okay? So there you go. The players' shares for the teams, if you won the game, the players got $15,000 each, and the losing team got $7,500 each. Compared that to the league championships, where the Packers got $8,600 and the Chiefs got $5,300. So it's kind of a big payday for both of the teams. The Chiefs had a record of 11-2-1. Okay, so the Chiefs were playing a 14-game season. The Packers were in the NFL. They only played a 12-game season. Now, these Packers were coached by legendary coach Vince Lombardi. 8 years earlier, the Packers won one game, but they quickly became a dynasty. So there you are. The week before the game, Chiefs cornerback Fred Williamson, known as Fred the Hammer Williamson. Some of you may know him from the movies. He became a big exploitation movie action star after he left football. But he was boasting he was going to use his hammer, his forearm, on the Green Bay receivers. It didn't work out for him. He broke his arm in the first quarter and had to be let off the field. He didn't get to play very much. So each of the teams, this is amazing to me, used a ball from their league. Okay? So the NFL used their ball, and then the AFL, when they were on offense, and the AFL, they used their ball, which was a little narrower and a little bit longer. So there you are. The AFL had a 2-point conversion. The NFL didn't, so they didn't use that in the game. The NFL didn't even start using the 2-point conversion until 1994. So, all right. on the field, and I think you can see it behind. Streamcast, you're going to lose my business. You really are. This is the second time in a week that just suddenly, the whole thing goes to poop. Oh, am I mad right now? Oh, my. But you can see it on the field behind me. There's 5-yard markers. In other words, it's not every 10 yards like it used to be, right? Like it is now. Let me get rid of that for a second. See the lines on the field? It was every 5 yards, which is what they used in the NFL at the time. They, I think a year or two later, quit doing that. This is one of the few photos from, well, not photos. I'll get to that in a second. Man, I am so ticked off right now. Do I need any of those other? Oh, if I do, I'll deal with it later. Man, that just ticks me off so bad. So anyway, they had 5-yard markers, which was customary. In 1972, which was 5 years later, it was every 10 yards, and that was it. This is the last professional football game that was played with what they call double support goalposts, which basically is the goalposts that look like a big H, okay? The slingshot goalpost, which is what we have now, which is the single thing in the middle, and then the two forks, made its debut the next year, and the double support, letter H kind, never ever used again. Never ever used again. The tickets for this game, this is going to blow your mind, were priced at $12, $10, and $6, which is equivalent to $109, $90, and $55 in today's money. Okay, broadcasting this game, this is going to freak you out. At the time, NBC held the rights to televise AFL games. CBS had the rights to broadcast NFL games. So what happened? The game was broadcast on both networks. Okay? There you go. Tensions flared between the staffs of the two networks, who each wanted to win the ratings war, and they actually built fences around their broadcast trucks. All right? There you go. The commissioner of the NFL decided that NBC would have to use the CBS cameramen and technical personnel. So they had to use the CBS feed because the Coliseum was home to the NFL Rams. It was a big controversy. So this is the only Super Bowl to have been broadcast by two big networks at the same time. All right? There you go. It's also the only Super Bowl that was not a sellout. Okay? There were 33,000 unsold seats in this 94,000 seat capacity stadium. So, and by the way, the local newspapers were complaining about how crazy that $12 price was. They were like enraged. Now, the ratings for this. CBS got a 22.6 rating and a market share of 43 for the broadcast, which was seen by 26.75 million people. NBC got an 18.5 rating and a market share of 24 million people. Combined, and this is unheard of, even for the Super Bowl yesterday, this is unheard of. The game received a market share of 79% And that's just crazy. That's like only 21% of TVs were not watching this game. Now, here's a big thing about this game. This is a giant fact about this game that's you're not going to believe this. All known broadcast tapes of the game in its entirety were subsequently erased by both NBC and CBS to save cost. And it was a common practice in TV at the time because videotape was very expensive. Half-hour tape was like $2,600 in today's cost. And nobody thought this game was going to become a big deal. So we can't even watch really the two broadcasts to this day. By the way, that practice is known as wiping. Almost all the Johnny Carson Tonight shows from New York were completely erased. And when you look at old game shows or old soap operas, you can sometimes on Wikipedia see that they will say all the episodes of this soap opera were destroyed for like a 12-year period because they just erased them all. It's known as wiping. And the people that did this, David Letterman, a huge critic of that practice, as of course is Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson, in fact, demanded that he personally, after this was done, receive a copy of each recorded episode of The Tonight Show. At the time, this is just how much of a broadcast nerd I am, but when The Tonight Show was live on the East Coast, West Coast stations would get a satellite feed of it. They would get a feed of that show, but they couldn't broadcast it at that time because it's 4 hours earlier. They would have to film it, then process that film and show the filmed version of The Tonight Show. That's the only copies that remain, or what they call kinescope or telesin of certain shows. That's just the way it is. Now, for many years, only two tiny samples of the telecast were known to have survived. The opening touchdown by Max McGee and Jim Taylor's touchdown, and that was it. So later on, in a Pennsylvania attic that's been restored by the Paley Center for Media, a 2-inch color videotape, missing only the halftime show and most of the third quarter, was found in an attic. The NFL owns the broadcast copyright and has blocked the sale and distribution of this tape that was found. Okay? Now, that videotape that they found was broadcast the first time, not broadcast, shown at the Paley Center. No one has seen it since 1967. It was just shown 2 days ago at the Paley Center as part of an exhibit at the Paley Center for the Super Bowl. NFL Films had a camera crew present, and it has a substantial amount of that footage in its archive. Some have been released, but those are from the sidelines and tight on players and stuff. It's not the actual game. In 2016, the NFL announced that an exhaustive process that took months to complete, NFL Films searched its archive and were able to locate all 145 plays from Super Bowl I from about a dozen different sources that were at the game, including people in the stands and things like that. Once all the plays were located, NFL Films was able to put them in order and stitch them together, restore, remaster, color correct. And that's the only known video footage of the entire action from Super Bowl I. And there you go. That footage was on film with the exception of the player introduction and the locker room interviews. So the Los Angeles Ramettes, which were majorettes at the Rams games, entertained during the pregame festivities. And the University of Arizona Marching Band created the physical outline of the continental United States in the center of the field, which you see behind me. Anaheim High School's drill team did the banners for each team. The post-game trophy was done by Pat Summerall and George Ratterman from NBC, and they had to share a single microphone. The halftime show was famed trumpeter Al Hirt, probably known for Flight of the Bumblebee at the beginning of the Green Hornet, and bands from the University of Arizona and Grambling College. They released 3,000 pigeons, 10,000 balloons, and there was a flying demonstration by the hydrogen peroxide-propelled Bell Rocket Airmen, which were those guys that would fly in those jetpack suits. There you go. So let's see here. First quarter. You know, that's about it. That's about all of this stuff. Now, this Super Bowl set the record for records that were established for the Super Bowl. Most yards, most passes, because it was the first one. So they'll never break that record. That'll never... A new record was set in every category for this Super Bowl. Incidentally, the most valuable player for this game was a lightly regarded receiver named Max McGee. Now, Max McGee was known to be a partier, a hard partier. And it's not an apocryphal tale. It's not just a story that they tell. Max McGee has told the story, as have several of his teammates. He was half in the bag for this game. He was still popped from the night before. He was still in a little trouble. I also might point out 14 eventual Hall of Famers played in this game. Kansas City had 4, and the Green Bay Packers had 10 eventual Hall of Fame football players playing in this game. So, that's the story of the first Super Bowl. There you go. There you go. Let me get through this chat. Stacey Allen is kindly described. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here. Stacey Allen has very kindly communicated what Diana O'Brien had asked her about. Let's see here. Melton was very good with the updates. You come to AC, first round is on me. Well, I don't know. I might get to AC. It's going to be hard for me to do anything. I'm going to have to really save a lot of goodwill to get away on the weekends in my current weekend gig. AFL usually had the best players. I don't know about that. They had the most exciting players. I'll say that without even batting an eye. I mean, you know, Joe Namath and George Blanda and Daryl LaMonica, and you know, I mean, they had wide open offenses, wide open, just high scoring and passing. It was more exciting. The NFL was run. Steffi Lindley, let's see, they got him. Oh wow! Hey guys, 33,000 unsold seats. Yeah. And this thing behind me here is an outline of the United States, as I was talking about earlier. Al Hirt is over there in the sort of highlighted area off to the left. Very famous trumpeter, Al Hirt. Johnny Yates here. He says, very good evening to my fine fellow. Good evening to you. 79%, yeah. Who had TVs? Well, that's also a thing in 1967. I can tell you my family did not have, my immediate family, my grandparents did on my mom's side. My grandparents on my dad's side did not have color TV. We just had black and white. Color, they still were at the beginning of each show, particularly on NBC, they'd say, you know, this show is brought to you in color, you know, even if you were watching it on black and white, you know. Fine, good evening, my fellow gully heads. Wiping to reuse the tape. Yep. Let's see here. Stevie says, that's nuts. Where in Pennsylvania? I don't remember what I was talking about. Toby McGroby, Toby McGroby had some really good comments on the Shuley Network today. Why did they block the tape? They feared the content wouldn't age well, maybe? No, they just wanted to reuse it over again. It was worth so much money that they went, nobody's going to watch this game show or this football game again. We'll just erase it and use it for the next game. Shout out to legendary alcoholic Pat Summerall. Okay, HC, glad you said that. Now, Pat he and Tom Brookshire, big drinkers. But Pat, the last 30 years of his life, never had a drink. I worked at a radio station called KFCD, and we were actually a terrible radio station, but for a time, we were the flagship station for the Pat Summerall Show. Excuse me. He had long since stopped broadcasting NFL, and he had a little hour-long sports show, or maybe a half an hour. And I got to talk to Pat Summerall many times. And on this station, he did not broadcast from our station. He broadcast from a remote location and piped it into our station and all the other places on his network. And I made up all these stories about Pat during the week, and I would say, it was a weekly show, and I would say, Pat was in here, man. He sings to the office girls. He brings in food for everybody. He's got an office with a fireplace. And I made up this elaborate Pat Summerall stories. And I remember Pat one day, he would call us once a week during our morning show and talk with us for 15 minutes or so. And he said, we got, welcome to the show, Pat. And he, before we get going with that big voice of his, I'd just like to tell you I've been really enjoying the elaborate stories you've been telling about me. Pat Summerall was a gentleman, and I was very proud to get to speak with him as often as I did and to meet him in real life. He was pure class. Hey, Tom, sorry I'm late. By the way, Frick, you're not wrong. During his barnstorming days, yes, he and Tom Brookshire were known to really pop a cork. NFL Films in Mount Laurel really helped the league grow. Oh, how I miss John Facenda's voice. Great facts, Tom. Thanks. Yeah, well, Lyndon and what was it? If I can clear my voice, I do a John Facenda imitation. And while the Viking offense flew on the wings of eagles, the Viking defense struck with the fury of Thor's hammer. Anyway, we all miss John Facenda. And now we know the rest of the story. You're going to bring up Paul Harvey and Pat Summerall in the same show? My broadcasting heroes. I worked in small market radio for a long time. And every single one of those stations had the Paul Harvey show. I've listened to so much Paul Harvey. Page 2. Paul would read the next page of his script. Page 2. And he would tell, he had a feature called, And Now You Know the Rest of the Story. To paraphrase a quote about Mickey Mantle, Max McGee was great at two things, drinking and playing drunk football. Yeah, H.C. Frick. There's a great Lombardi story about Max McGee. Max McGee and Paul Hornig used to go out drinking and miss Vikings curfew. And that was something you did not do with Vince Lombardi. And so Vince would wait till the whole team was together, and he would say, you guys were out past curfew. This was during training camp or when they were, had a game. I'm fining you both $50. Now, $50 back in those days was a lot of money. The next time it was $100. And then he raised it to $500. And then they broke it again, and he came in, and Lombardi was apoplectic. He was just red-faced and just, you two, if you two That's $500. If you two break curfew again, it's $1,000. And the whole room got quiet because $1,000 back then was probably the equivalent of 25 grand now. And then he got quiet and he went, boys, if you find something worth doing that's going to cost you $1,000, call me and I'll go with you. They didn't break it again, I guess. Delco Chris says, we didn't have color till 76. I think we didn't get it till 69, or I can't remember. My grandparents had one, and we would go there. It was a big treat to see your cartoons in color. And I remember one time one of the tubes went out, and they had a TV repairman came to their house to fix it. And I remember asking him, are you going to put all the cartoons back inside? And the guy started laughing. He goes, yeah, I'll make sure the cartoons get put back in the set. Don't worry about that. You'll be all right. I'll put the cartoons back in. But as I mentioned on the show before, that's when you could actually fix your own TV to a certain extent if you were smart enough, because they had stands at hardware stores and some grocery stores, and they would allow you to test your tubes. So you'd take a number of tubes out of the inside of your TV and you'd go into the grocery store and you would test them. You'd pop them in and it would light up if they were working. If they weren't working, there was a cupboard below there that you would look to see which tube it was and you would buy a new one. If you didn't, you'd have a TV guy come over, repairman, and if he couldn't fix it at your house, he took it back to the shop. Because back then, a TV was a very expensive item, and they repaired your TV. Now, if something goes wrong with your TV, you guys all know what that means. You're just buying a new TV. It's not worth the time and effort. Hugh says, hey, Tom, I was asked to describe your show this weekend. Best I could come up with is a modern-day Paul Harvey. The rest of the story. Well, that's a compliment. Incidentally, Hugh, I get asked to describe my show all the time, and I can't do it. My answer is always, you tell me and we'll both know. I don't know what this is. Lyndon said, Tom Brookshire helped start sports talk radio in Philly decades ago. How it's grown nationwide. Yeah, Tom Brookshire was he was a piece of work. And he and Pat Summerall, you guys have to remember, there was an ESPN, and very few of the games were televised. The ones that were on film. There used to be a show called NFL Game of the Week, and it was an hour long, and the first half hour were highlights from the games. The second half hour was the highlight from one game. They would update you on all the games, and that was done a week later. And it was hosted for a long time by Pat Summerall. You can see him on YouTube. Just look up NFL Game of the Week 60s or 70s. Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire hosted it. And they got rid of Brookshire because he was too much of a boozer. Julian Caesar says, easier to fix your TV than an old string of Christmas lights. Yeah. Radio Shack tube tester kiosk, says Delco Chris. Oh, I remember that. But I remember them in the groceries and the hardware stores too. Well, now you can. NFL Game of the Week was great. And then here's another thing. When Monday Night Football started, it was a huge sensation. It was Frank Gifford, Howard Cosell, and Don Meredith. One of my favorite things, and I had to go to bed at halftime because, my parents were strict about bedtime. But on Mondays, they would let me stay up till halftime. And the reason they would do that is that Howard Cosell would narrate, and you can see these on YouTube, would narrate the highlights and scores from that week's games because you couldn't see them anywhere. There was no show that had them on. The sports in your local town might have them on TV, but they would just show the score. They wouldn't show any of the action. ABC's Monday Night Football would. And Cosell, regardless of what you thought of Howard Cosell, he was so dramatic during those halftime narrations, you know. Los Angeles Coliseum, the Rams against the 49. You see this man, number 30, Lawrence McCutcheon. He's rumbling. Oh, God, it was so great. So great. Diana Bryan says, call me sad, but how great is it when you get a new TV still to this day? It's really awesome. And you can have one in every room. I was talking to my dad this morning, and last night during the Super Bowl, I don't have like cable TV with local channels on it. I've got Spectrum package, but it's just got, you know, various networks and stuff. And I don't have any pay streaming. I don't have Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, none of that. I have a Google Chromecast in my bedroom, and I have Roku TV in my living room. Living room's a huge screen. The TV in my bedroom is probably 10 or 15 years old. It's not huge. It's like 32 inches or something. And I get everything off an antenna. I get 71 channels off my antenna here. I turned in the Super Bowl to CBS in 1080 high def. And all I could think about was the days when we had rabbit ears and trying to tune in a station with the little bit of snow, and just how perfect the picture that I get on all these channels is now. It's amazing to me. I never would have imagined such a thing when I was a kid. Never. We're going to end up talking about our medical issues, aren't we? I've got this lumbago. No, we're not. Vivi Listerfiend says, hey, Tom, happy to be here. I'll just go ahead and put an H2BH in here. I still haven't heard anything about hosting Pod Awful. I've heard people are clamoring for it. They want it to happen. They want me to guest and all that stuff, but I ain't heard nothing about it, you know? Let's see here. Tom, you're literally saying, back in my day, I like how you embrace it. You're the man, Tom. Yeah. I will say this. The Gen Zers at the radio station do not believe I'm the age that I am. Let's say it's this side. They don't believe it. I haven't shown them my driver's license or anything, but we would love for you to guest host. Well, I don't put it on me. I was told, someone came in here and said that he's having some people solo host his show, and that they wanted me to do it. And I'm like, well, I'll do it. I don't got no problem with that. But I've only heard about it right here, so maybe it's a bit. Maybe it's a bit. You're a silver fox. There is silver in there. You can. I think you can. I've got a little here. I've got a little here. I've got some here. But whatever. Whatever. Hey, the Shawnee Zone tonight at, I believe, 9 o'clock Eastern time on the Shuley Network. If you like conspiracy theories, you'll love that show. Randy J. Ramos is saying hi to Kent Taylor. Delco Chris says Cosell had a humorous reference. Yeah, he said something he shouldn't have said even back in that day. I was just watching a show about the NFL Today, which was the big halftime show, the big NFL show on CBS. And it was a documentary. It was just on, might have been Sunday before the Super Bowl. It was called You Are Watching Live. And that was what Brent Musburger would say at the start of You Are Watching Live, Bloomington Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota. And they covered Jimmy the Greek, who also said some things back in the day. I mean, people think that we're all woke now, and that's the reason for a lot of people getting canceled. No, people got canceled back then for saying certain things too. Did they clarify what age they thought I was? No, they said a word about cow droppings when I told them how old I was. What's this? I did not see that. I was thinking the same thing, Terry Nee. Well, let me just put it this way. Bob Levy is 1 year older than me. 1 year older. So, what do you think of that Travis Kelso? I think he's a fine football player, and he's a lucky man. I don't think Tom would ruin the surprise of him being on Pod Awful. I haven't heard anything about it. I'd be happy to do it. I don't know why he's having that done. Maybe he can't do it. I don't know what's going on. I know nothing about it other than somebody said that I should do it and that they wanted me to do it. And have I been? That's all I know. That's all I know. That's all I know. I don't know. I don't think I look as old as I am. Maybe I do. I don't know. I don't feel. I heard Bob say this the other day, and I knew exactly what he meant. He said, "I don't feel old. I don't feel old. My mind, I don't think is old, and I also, as far as my profession, either as a writer, because most of you guys don't know this, my chief profession is as a writer. It has been for a long time. I also do broadcasting. I've never been better. Ever. I've never been better. HC says, would you consider doing an MST3K style watch along of Gods and Monsters? I'd do an MST3K watch along of anything. There was a short period of time where I was considering going up there and working with those guys when they very, very, very first started through my association with Film Threat. Say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. Sat here watching 8 out of 10 Cats. It's hilarious. Tom, I've seen it before. Makes me chuckle. Let me see here. Oh, they made me black. I did not know that. I don't care. They've done worse. They've made me into quite a few things on Pod Awful. Jesse is suffering from Crowder-David's disease. That's why he needs desk help. Well, if he needs me to help out, I'd be happy to help out. Julian Caesar says, age is just a number, a big number. Looking at you, Bob must have had a rough paper route. Hey, I had a rough paper route, I'll tell you that. Tom, is your birthday single digit 10s or 20s? If comfortable, what day of the month? It's 30. But I don't know, man. I look the way I look. What am I going to do about it? I mean, I'm still in pretty good shape here. Let's just see here. I mean, I'm not still work out and got my pecs. And, I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. Incidentally, there's ladies my age that still in pretty good shape. Still in pretty good shape. So anyway, that's the first Super Bowl. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to, paypal.me/ to the more than 25 people in here, paypal.me/ Tom Gully Show. The likes really help. Share, subscribe, and you guys are great. You're the best. I looked forward to doing this show all day long. I really did. Let's see here. Chris Gore. Didn't know that. I wrote for Film Threat for a long time. I've been to Chris Gore's mom's house when he was living there back in Detroit. I've stayed at his place in L.A. when he married his first wife. Last time I took a train from L.A. to Dallas, Chris picked me up. We went out to eat and then drove me to the train station. I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but yeah, I know Chris. I've known Chris Gore since 1988. So I wrote a bunch, his movie, my Big Fat Independent Movie. I wrote a bunch of the movie posters for. I've done a lot of things with and for Chris Gore. Sure. This is getting sad, Gully. What's getting sad about it? What did I do wrong this time, Stacy? Terry says, I'm second, same month and year. I've seen it, Tom. It's a quiz and numbers show with comedians. I have not. Let's have a party, says Terry Nee. Well, Wild Bill will tell you we were going to have a convention for this show at one point. Listerfine says, I disagree. Tom is great. Stacy says, Tom is awesome. If Stacy didn't like me, she wouldn't hassle me. I know that much about her. Next time, Stacy, if Stacy gives me advance warning, I'll go to Thackerville. I'll meet her up in Thackerville and her husband or whoever. And I'm not trying to hit on her, up at the Indian casino and hang out. Although maybe meeting at casinos is taking a little... Maybe meeting at casinos isn't what it used to be. What? I read tons of articles for Film Threat back in the day then. Cool. Yeah. I wrote not just for Film Threat, but Film Threat Video Guide. Oh, yeah. Tom is fantastic. Thank you, Christina. Waterville? Thackerville. Look it up. Look it up, Tom. I think you'd find a guy. I will do that, Diana. Terry Need. Docs. Docs. I told the world. Docs. That guy had a whole brand new pack of underwear to guide up there. Boy, that Hitman Dan and his wife. Ooh, there was a look into a dark corridor from John's past. I popped that on in the middle, and Dawn was sitting next to Stuttering John and Vince the midget, and I immediately in my head said, I did not know Steven Tyler had a sister with Down syndrome. Anyway, if you're ever in NC, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Well, my area. I don't go to North Carolina. My sister used to live there. I used to go there, but I haven't been there in a long time. Although, when I take U.S. Air to the East Coast, a lot of times I have a layover in Charlotte. So, Vince is so gross towards Dan's wife. He's gross to everybody. You know what really creeped me out? When the two of them were laughing at Ray DeVito and doing the little punches, laying down on the bed, and it's creepy. It was just really... who's worse, John or Dan? He's John. Vince is repugnant. There is nothing redeemable about that. There is nothing there. Not interesting, not informative, not entertaining, not informed. Just, who brushes their teeth with one finger? U.S. Air. You can laugh at U.S. Air. It ain't Spirit. I typically try to take JetBlue or Virgin everywhere I go. Those are because I think Virgin owns JetBlue. I end up having to take American because I live in Dallas. I could do Southwest, but it's usually American because they have a big hub here. But I'll bet you Stacy had to fly into on American when she came. I think she was in Dallas for just a little while. Did you guys land here and then drive up? Or I forget what you did. But man, am I doxing? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to do that. She took a vacation to a casino and did some things here at some point. You talked about it in the chat room of another show. So, U.S. Air is American. No U.S. Air anymore. Oh, well, see, it's been a while. It's been a while. Says, come on. Yes, I flew into Dallas and drove up to Thackerville to see a concert. Oh, that's right. That's right. And the concert may have been at the, or maybe was at the casino. I don't remember. All I know is I've driven by that casino many times, and on the way north, I think I stayed there one time. I think I just went there and stayed there and got up early in the morning and left from there. But it's not that long of a drive from Dallas. It's, what is it, an hour and a half or something? I fly Frontier and Spirit. I like living on the edge. The Whiskey Myers concert was at the casino in OK. Front row, man, that's pretty awesome. United is putting diversity first and hiring new pilots. That should end well. Yeah, Windstar, the Windstar. Yeah, there's a bunch of Windstars. That's a pretty good casino. Pretty good casino, and it's by itself. It's like you are driving and it's there by itself. There's lots of parking around. It's pretty big. Paz says, I can't remember the last time I flew on a plane. Listening to some of your episodes doesn't help. No. I'll fly anything on a direct flight. No offense. No offense taken. I feel the same way. I feel exactly the same way. I just don't ever want to have to fly again. Yeah, I want the most qualified people. I don't care, anything about them other than that. I just don't. That's all. And I am really almost to the point where I don't know that I'm ever going to fly again. One of the projects that I have in my head is I want to take a panel van and retrofit the inside of it to my own liking. There's a great website. It's called The Vanual, not manual, but Vanual with the B.com. And it's awesome about how to redo a van so that you can live, work, drive around in it. And I kind of want to do that. And anytime I need to go somewhere, I just want to do that. I don't want to be on a plane. And I love taking trains. Love the train. Air travel is city bus service now, man. You are so right. All the good perks are gone no matter what airline you fly. And incidentally, they're not as nice to you anymore. It used to be a big deal. Now it's just they are angry. You just deal with the unwashed mass and you put your headphones in. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. The one thing I do like is sometimes I get there and I swipe my credit card when you check yourself in now and get your boarding pass yourself now. And it'll say, for an extra $80, you can have first class. Done. 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 But after my last flight, man, I recently flew out to California and back, and I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not going to be done anymore. Anyway, we're past time. The Shawnee Zone tonight on the Shuley Network. I think it's 9 Eastern. I'll feel rotten if... let me check it out real quick here. Sorry. Let me get you the official info on that, because I don't want to screw up here. And I also don't want to be stepping on their toes here. I don't want to do that. Lord knows I'm a nice guy. Let's see here. Go here. I told the world, by the way. To the 25 people. Anyway, let's see. There's a BYB podcast is doing the AC fallout. I tried to watch the BYB podcast and I couldn't last night. The Shawnee Zone is going to be on at, come on, man. Yeah, 9 Eastern. I tried to watch it last night, the BYB podcast, and just couldn't watch it. Greyhound bus is worse. Just barely. I'm becoming more hermit the more I age. Well, what's out there for you? I'm the same way. The Shuley Network. I tried to watch the BYB podcast, and I think that Lemme chick is awesome just because of her poise in trashing Stuttering John. That level of poise is, I mean, I'm, again, not hitting on anybody. That is just gold. But everybody else on that show, particularly the Quadfather, it's like you are so annoying, and nobody will let anybody talk, and it's just not for me. Just not for me. Oh God, it was just. Well, I'm done. I'm done. The Frog. Gotta love the Frog. So 9 o'clock Eastern, the Shawnee Zone. I think I'm going to stay up a little. I think I might make myself a little something to eat and stay up and hang out in the Shawnee Zone a little bit. Let's see here. Tyranny. Yes, I'm losing my edge in pool because I never want to go out anymore. Worst part, doesn't bother me. Yeah, you know, there's just less things that it's got to be something worth it. When you're young, you'll go out and do anything. You'll roll the dice. You'll take a chance. Excitement, huh? At a certain point, you're like, nah, there's got to be a reward here. I'm not doing it. The Frog is just, man, the Frog is just, I don't even feel good calling him the Frog. Producer Joe is just the best. Let's see here. Gully and I are on team baseless conspiracy theories with no substance to support them are stupid. Yeah. Now there's stuff. There's stuff. I'm not saying there's not stuff. There is stuff, but some of them, some of the cryptid stuff is just like, come on, really? I would watch The Frog, yeah. I mean, The Frog is masterful. Those packages that he produces, and then producing the show live, and ignoring my hilarious non-super chatted comments in the chat room. No, I'm kidding. And, you know, recently a couple people, Shuli and Zen, have both said, welcome back. Welcome back. I've been in the chat room for a long time. I've never left. It's just that now I do a lot of stuff not at my regular computer. Basically, I'm on my work computer in the morning in my office at the couch. It's a laptop. And I'm watching on television. So I can't comment, but I'm watching the show. I never left. And I get there's certain periods of time when I'm hammered with work and I can't be typing for the show because I'm not at my computer. I'm in a different part of my office so that I can be, you know, on Zoom meetings and all that kind of, on my work official computer with all their network stuff on it and their VPN and all that. And I think people would watch The Frog. I think that if I was in charge of this Shuli network, I'd be going, hey, you know what? We'd love to have you have your own show. You're way too valuable producing this show. He's the fifth Beatle, man. Joe is great. I will never repeat this again. Toby McGroby says, I like it. I'm finding out I can't accomplish everything in one day, so it makes me focus on what matters first. I think I just said something optimistic. Whoa. Got you, Frog. Delco's just hammered with work. Right. No, I don't get hammered. That's one thing. We all know. So it goes in spells. You know, goes in spells. And so right now I can. I've been in the chat more. But to the more than 20 people in the room right now, like, share, subscribe. Delco Chris, you do not know how much your very kind words in your PayPal donation, which was also extremely generous and very nice, that I needed that right at that second. I might not have needed it the day before, the day after, but right at that second, I really needed it. So thank you. Brett's Hollywood Show, who's, by the way, hilarious. I also hold Kevin Brennan's Partition in great contempt. And for a while, there was about a week there where he had a different hilarious line about that partition every 5 minutes in the chat room. I was in charge of the Shuley Network. I'd tell Brett Hollywood to leave immediately and never return. Everyone hates you. I don't think anybody hates you. Joe, the producer, writes for Joe Biden. I don't think so. You're very welcome, says Delco Chris. No, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Stacey Allen, I hate when I'm watching BS and I get a work call or have a work meeting. Don't they know I'm busy? I don't know. I don't know. Luckily, all my stuff I normally know in advance. They tell me in advance. So that's the one nice thing they do for me. Nothing else. So, we got about 45 minutes till the Shawnee Zone begins. I imagine some of you will want to, go make dinner, get settled in, do some other stuff. And I'm trying to grow this show. I have been stuck at the same number of subscribers, followers, whatever they're called, on YouTube for like a month and a half. It's crazy. Joe and Jenna are total sweethearts. They're very, very awesome people. Keep vamping till then, Gully. Keep vamping. Just vamping. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna show you something I thought about showing you earlier, but here we go. Here we go. Yeah, this is the one I remember right here. All right, let me see if I can find a big picture of it here. And then I'll show it to you. And everybody will go, wow, man, that is so awesome. All righty. This is an example of one of the things I was talking about earlier, which is a tube tester. You'd see these in stores, and you could test the tubes on your thing, and inside of it would be tubes that you could buy, like that. So this guy's apparently trying to sell this, but that's what the kiosks look like. That's just one example. There were all sorts of them, but they always had big, colorful tops on them and stuff and whatnot. And there you go. Let's see here. I share you every time. Well, thank you, Christina. I'm trying to get YouTube followers, but I can use more Facebook. I think I got about 1,000 Facebook followers. Jenna stole my Tupperware. Sunday, Jenna stole my Tupperware. Wow, man, that is so awesome. Hopefully my friends will see how awesome the show is. LOL, Brett. Yeah. So I'm got like 690. I don't know how to get more. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's like, come on, let's go. Let's get this hip hop party started here. And if I got like 3 a week, I wouldn't feel bad. No, it's flatline, totally flatline. It's a heck of a show. I don't know what people are. I mean, it's a heck of a show. We'll get them eventually. We'll get them. We're the best kept secret on YouTube. Yeah, the Shawnee Zone tonight. Well, it is a Shuley Network show. It'll have 10 times the amount of viewers. Terry Nee says, Brett needs to come through with Corey Feldman. Well, somebody should. I think that'd be a tough get myself. I really do. Let's see. Popcorn in Bed. That's one of my favorite movie review shows. Undisputed. Oh, somebody liked to comment on the NEAS program. So, yeah. There you go. There you go. Brett Hollywood's, that's a good point. My newbies are unfamiliar with my Corey Feldman era. I'm unfamiliar with it. I like the radio broadcasting of music facts. I never hear it elsewhere anymore, so I'd explain it as a radio? Something? I don't know. Yeah, it's just a show. That's all. It's just a show. Hey, Terry Nee. Frog says you're a sweetheart, too, for a boomer. Well, I don't know what Terry's age is. I know my age, and Bob's age, actually. We're either the youngest boomers or we're the oldest Gen Xers. Because you'll go to one and they'll say, the boomer generation began in 1960 or ended in 1960. Some say 1963. Some say, it's not a consistent. Stacey Ellen says, Brett Hollywood show. I legitimately miss your Feldman content. Hey, I miss your Feldman. That's a euphemism, I think. Media and music history, a trivia show, but I haven't seen them all. I haven't seen them all either. Stacey, I've actually been thinking about a comeback. Well, I think we'd all welcome that. I'll subscribe. I'm 28 days older than you, Tom. I don't know how you know that. But I'll believe you. I hope so, Brett. So you're a Taurus? Are you a Taurus, Terry Nee? I think you'd have to be. Yeah, Brett, we'd love to see you back in action. I'd love for you to get a show that instantly gets 10 times more people than mine. I got to do something. I'm starting to search engine optimize this for YouTube. I'm trying some things here, but we'll see. Tierney says 1964 is the last year for boomers. I'm gonna let's see, boomer timeline years. I don't know what to say. Well, that's what one of them. That's what Parents says. But you see all sorts of that's not the only definition. There's a bunch of them. Although I do see a bunch of them here that do say that 63 is the cutoff, 64 is the cutoff. Yeah, so I'm looking at another one that says the boomers ended in 1960. It just depends on the ones. It's tough. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything, except when somebody says, "Hey, boomer," and you're just like, yeah, you know what? Tell you what, stop listening to our music then, jerk. You mentioned your birth year before. Okay. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, Gully. I'm not. I mean, there's psychological studies, there's sociological studies, there's demographic studies, there's psychographic studies, and it's not a universal thing. I'm guessing you're a millennial, Stacey Allen. You might be Gen X, but I'm guessing millennial. You just have that way about you. I never got a participation trophy. Tom, did you see the RFK Super Bowl ad by chance? I did. The one for Kennedy that had the Kennedy jingle. I did. Me, I'm straight up Gen X. Okay. That was one of my guesses. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it, man. I'm going to see if I can find it. Is this it? Let me see if this is it. God, I hate this. I think it is. Let me see. I'll just share it. I'll share it with you guys. Diana's definitely a boomer, 63. It's a good year. That's a darn good year. Let me see here. Screen. Let's see if we're going to do this. Hope I don't get in trouble for this.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through? But that's a dog that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Yeah, I think they used that in a commercial last night, or a version of it, or something. Yeah. I was alive when JFK was assassinated. Not very long, but I was. Brett Hollywood Show. Gully, I first got noticed at TSN for incessantly shoehorning Corey Feldman into every conversation. Joe and Shuley thought it was really funny, and Bob got mad at me. So you were Mr. Doodle before Mr. Doodle. I just love your comments about Kevin's partition. That, I mean, for a guy that acts like he's above the rest of us to have that partition, for crying out loud. I saw that ad and thought of Tom immediately. Yeah, I like old kitschy stuff like that. Well, look at my logo. I love all that kind of stuff. Brett, I prefer Feldman way better than Cosby. I love how Brett Hollywood just pounds away at that partition. Or whatever he's talking about. The room divider is just like so give up. I mean, I've just got a wall back here, okay? And it's not a green screen. It's not an official wall or anything like that. It's just a flat tone wall. If you guys go back on my YouTube page, you can see I used to have a decorated wall with a clock and Julie Newmar's picture and a bunch of other stuff. But I'm not doing that again. I'm doing this. This is more fun. This is more fun for me anyway. You guys might think it sucks, but it's more fun for me. I think I'm torn between making corned beef hash for dinner tonight and I had pizza last night. I'm making corned beef hash. There, it's settled. It's settled. Unless you're operating a brothel, I don't see the point in having a room divider. Well, I don't know. It just depends on how your house or rooms are shaped or whatever. I've seen room dividers be very effective at, this is the area where I sew. It's a cutout in the room, and rather than, I can see that. But yeah, hash. Yes, Delco Krish, hash. Having some corned beef hash. You got to crisp it up. You got to get up every once in a while and turn it over. I love the backdrops. Well, good. I'm glad. I like the custom backdrops myself. Sounds yummy. It's going to be yummy. Terry Nee says, I was alive when Kenny was assassinated, but for me to be implicated, I wouldn't need my mother's help, at least her breast for nourishment during the deed. Yeah, I was only like 6 months old or something like that. Or less than that, actually. Let's see, 5, and that's November. I was 5 months older. Yeah. A little over. Just a little over. So I'm old. And I got to tell you something. Terry Nee, you might back me up on this, and you might as well, Diana. It seems like I was 45 and I blinked my eyes and now I'm this age. It really does. It does. And I'm lucky because from the time I was about, I'd say 25 or 26, I didn't drink just because I didn't like it. Still kind of don't like it. And never did any, stuff. So hopefully I'm doing okay. But I don't feel old. I just don't. And he says, yes, but 60 is a blast. And somebody was like, some of these younger guys go, man, you are pretty hip for a second. And I'm like, just because you're old doesn't mean you're not hip, Daddy-o. Age hits fast and it hits hard. It does. And it ain't for sissies. But it's like, I'm the chunkiest dude in the room. You know. Hey, what are you going to do? You got to stay young. It'll never be like this again. I don't care what age you are. If you're 22 years old, it's never going to be that way again. You know, now's the time. Never going to be that way again. Do what you got to do now, because it ain't, you're not on a road to advancement. I don't feel old, but tell that to my bones. Yeah, there are certain days. But you just roll with the punches, man. You keep doing your deal. Why do I do this? I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't doing this. I've always been this way. I just want to generate content, make things, and see if other people like it, and hear what they have to say. What do you like? What do you want me to do? What do you know? It's what I do. I got to get Bob on this show one day. I got to get Bob on it. Seems like yesterday I was in my 20s, going to be 54 in August. Jeez. Well, Stacy says, now this is getting depressing. But I'm going to say this, Stacy, and I said it the other day. I'm going to say it again. When my grandparents were 60, they were older than me. And I don't mean that in a bad way, especially my grandmother on my mom's side. She was just mentally and philosophically the coolest person I've ever met, and was very open-minded and forward-thinking. But they dressed like old people. They did old people things. They acted like old people. It was like a role they had to play. And that's not the way it is anymore. I'll go out and see Lake Street Dive down at the Angelica, or whatever. I'll still go out and hang with the kids and all that other stuff. And no, I'm not going to be the creepy old guy. I'm going to just be there and whatever. But it's not the way it used to be. It's just not. So, Gully's a real hooligan. I used to be. I used to be a slalom dancer. Here's one for the slalom dancers everywhere. My birthday on the 22nd. Okay, I gotta write that down. February 22nd. Where's my pen? I keep a pen here. Oh, here it is. Feb 22 Diana. Okay, I'll try and remember that. Old people still smell like old people, though. What are you doing smelling people? Boom! I don't. I smell like leather and wood shavings. It's very masculine. And motorcycle oil. You're 7 years older than me, Tom. Someday I feel my age, some days I don't. I have a 3-year-old who doesn't care. There you go. I'm the same way. But lately, since I've gotten over my sciatica, I've felt great. I don't feel old till I pick up a piece of paper and my back goes out. Then I have to pee. Gully's a real rapscallion. Yes, I'm a scamp, a scoundrel. Anyway, we got about a half an hour, 28 minutes, if you will, till the Shawnee zone. I'm going to get out of here because I got to make my hash. But I have decided I'm going to hang out in the Shawnee zone. I love that word, Stacy. A rapscallion. I do too. I'm a scamp. I like the Gully, so it's a solid hang. That's one of my old girlfriend's nicknames for me. Yeah. The times I feel old are when I have to explain things to younger people. Gully needs to bring back those old-timey words like hiney instead of rear end or butt or whatever. Hiney. Trying to bring back hiney single-handed. But when I have to say I'm the first recipient of the David Letterman Scholarship, and they say, who's David Letterman? That makes me feel old. And it makes me feel sad for them because It's like, don't you know anything about history in the last 20 years? Does that not? So I feel bad for them. That's part of the reason I do this show. On the rare occasion when I try to explain this show to people, I say, I want to bring a show to people that's about stuff they either forgot about or didn't know about. That's interesting and engaging. That's what I want to do. I want to take things like that people think they know about and tell them what really happened, or tell them about something they never knew about before. That's kind of like, whoa, that's what I'm trying to do here. That's what I'm trying to do. And of course, like everything else I do in life, and also be a cool guy. Please, God, it's a George Carlin bit. Please just let me be a cool guy. Oh, you have a good one too, Christina Costello. Well said, Tom. Well said. Yes. And then at the end of the day, I just want to be a cool guy. All right. I think with all that being said, the only thing left to say is, till next time. We'll see you next time. Probably on the Shawnee Zone. You know what I'm saying? Come on, let's go. Come on, video.